Good day, everyone. Welcome back to JED School. This is your host, Babakin 2, and we will be going on a virtual field trip today to the J. Paul Getty Museum. Now, there are two parts to the Getty Museum, one in LA and one in Malibu. We'll be visiting the one in Malibu today called the Getty Villa. Now, the Getty Villa is one of the most popular museums in the U.S. The J. Paul Getty Museum averages almost 2 million visitors a year. Its art collection spans over 6,000 years. Everything from paintings, drawings, illuminated manuscripts, sculptures. It takes two houses just to keep it all. Oil tycoon and art enthusiast J. Paul Getty added a museum to his Malibu ranch in 1954. Then he moved that big collection to a reconstructed Italian villa in 74. And finally, he relocated the most of the museum's collections to the J. Paul Getty Museum Center in LA in 96. And it was renovated and redecorated in 2006. So today, people have come from all over the world just to see an exhibit entitled The Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now that title does not accurately describe what these works are called. That was a name given to it by the West. But the proper name is the Book of Going Forth by Day, also known as the Pert im Heru in the ancient Egyptian language. As a matter of fact, E. Wallace Budge, noted Egyptologist, says in his book, quote, "The common name for the Book of the Dead in the Theban period, and probably also before this date, is Pert im Heru, which words have been variously translated, manifested in light, coming forth by day, and coming forth into the day." This name, however, had probably a meaning for the Egyptians which has not yet been rendered in the modern language. And one important idea in connection with the whole work is expressed by another title, which calls it the chapter of making or perfecting the coup. What you're experiencing right now is a virtual rendition of the making of a man named Pet Osiris's Pert im Heru. You notice that all the scribes in school put his works together, wrote it down on the saw bandages that you see now, and encased his entire body on these sacred writings that would allow his spirit to be protected when it goes on to the next life. The faceplate is put on, and he is carried off to his funerary processions. Following the funerary procession is his family, his wife, and 2 children, an adolescent woman, and a young boy. And as the family mourns his passing, a lecture priest says the words of power, while the Shem priest does the ritual called the opening of the mouth, so that he may be able to eat the offerings, breathe in the air, and speak in his next life. As he leaves his body, his spirit engages with his boat so that he can travel towards the sun Ra forever and ever. And what you're experiencing now is the original version of Pet Osiris's Pert im Heru, our Book of Coming Forth by Day. We just watched the digital rendition, but you can see by the vignette that it's the exact same process which is happening. Now we visit the papyrus of Pasher Asheket, and you can see his is much wider and probably just as long as Pet Osiris's. You can see all of the inscriptions, the Medu Neter, but you can also see this beautiful vignette right in the middle of his Pert im Heru. This vignette depicts him working in the fields of peace. And we can also see a vision here where he is getting offerings with his wife. The deceased would often receive assistance in the afterlife from an Ushabti figure. This is the Ushabti of Nefer Ab Ra Sanith. The Ushabti figure would often do work that would assist the deceased when they go on to the fields of peace. They'll perform manual labor, they'll perform protection, and they'll perform any other duties necessary for the deceased to live a happy and eternal life. The inscriptions on this Ushabti read, "O these Ushabtis, you will be selected at every time to do work there in the realm of God, to make the fields flourish, to flood the banks, to haul sand from the west to the east, and vice versa." Knowing that the Pert Imheru was written on coffins, pyramids, and saw bandages, we wanted to give you an example of a coffin text. This coffin text belongs to an unknown man who has made his transition. Lastly, we'll look at the papyrus of Uben-Esra. On this papyrus, you will see the beautiful inscriptions indicating the power and importance of Uben-Esra. She was from a family that was well respected and was also named the head of her household. This is the oldest papyri we'll be looking at today and was made in 1479 before the Common Era. All of the ancient documents that we took a look at today came from the collection, the private collection of an Englishman by the name of Thomas Phillips, who dedicated and donated this private collection to the Getty in 1983. In order to pay our respects, we will leave you with a few words of power from a few of our favorite selections today. So feel free to stop and rewind until we see you on the next virtual field trip.